Clot is a card, and quite an annoying one because you have to go deep into the rules to fully understand how to deal with it. So what does it actually do? It stops the corp from installing and scoring an agenda in the same turn, something we also call fast advancing. You can get rid of Clot with card or program destruction effects and of course purging. Purging in Reboot actually removes Clot from the game. The major problem with Clot, however, comes from 3 other cards: Self-Modifying Code, Clone Chip, and Cyberdex Virus Suite. The former 2 allow the runner to install Clot during the corp's turn, and in the best case when the corp is right in the process of fast advancing. And CVS allows the corp to purge Clot without having to spend an action. And suddenly there are multiple questions which I will try to answer in this video. When is it too late to install Clot? When is it too early or best to install Clot? How can the corp deal with Clot? And how should the corp behave in respect of a possible Clot install during their turn? Let's get right into the important rules. There are only 2 of them. First, the timing structure of the corp's turn. Here it shows that there's a window to use paid abilities, rest cards, and score agendas after every single action. An action is anything that costs clicks, so the actions from the basic action card, and paid abilities that cost clicks. The second rule refers to timing priorities. In short, it says that the player who is currently taking their turn has priority on this window and can do as many of these abilities in any order before having to pass priority to their opponent. And that should already answer question 1. It is too late to install Clot if the corp doesn't need to spend a click anymore to score an agenda. So imagine this: the corp is at game point, they start the turn, install something here, advance it, and now you can be pretty sure, especially after the biotic labor, that they will fast advance here. If they advance it once more, we can still get the Clot out, because here's a paid ability window in which the corp can do whatever they want, but there isn't anything. They could rest the Ash here, there's no point in that, but they could do that, okay. And then the runner has priority to do something, so we can get our Clot out. And then they can't fast advance anymore. If we do that any later, if we would do that here, after this action, which was advancing the card, the corp has priority to score the agenda, so they can just do so. So in this case, we couldn't get the Clot out. They can just advance and immediately score it. So you should at best install the Clot before the last action to make the agenda scoreable. For multiple reasons, of course. Number 1, you want to make sure that the corp is actually trying to fast advance anything here. If they just install the card here and it's the Jackson, well, you got a Clot out. Wow, that's not great. And also we want them to invest resources, so if they install the card here and advance it twice, well, they invest a lot of resources into that, and that's what we want. So install Clot as late as possible, but not too late. After the last action, it's too late. Alright, let's do another example. We have a rest Sans and Centigrade here, we are also on game point, we have the Beal here, let's just score it. So when should the runner get the Clot out? Again, before the last action, since Sans and Centigrade allows us to score the agenda on only 2 advancement counters. 1 is enough, so here the Clot has to come out. After the second one, it's too late. So right here. Okay? Because then we can't actually score. Alright, let's go back a little. There might be a way to score this if the runner is a little oblivious to how Clot works, because if we install the Beal here and advance it, and the runner doesn't do anything, remember that the window allows us to res and score in the same window, and we have priority on that. So if we do our last action here, now we have priority, so we can rest the Sansan and score. And here the runner can actually do anything. Okay, another example. In this case we are also on game point, but we have a 2-1, and we have Trick of Light. So, after the install of Hostile Takeover, this is where the runner actually should get their Clot out. Of course they don't necessarily know that this is the winning agenda, but after the Trick of Light, that was a single action playing the operation, and now we have priority and can just score it. So people might be able to sneak an agenda by with cards like Shipment from Sansan or Trick of Light, so be wary of that. Especially if there are 2-1s involved, like 15 minutes, Hostile Takeover, Breaking News. With all of these cards you have to install the Clot a little earlier. Let's actually talk about Shipment from Sansan, especially in combination with FCOM Efficiency Committee. If the corp starts their turn and you just know that they start fast advancing, when do you get your Clot out? And especially at this board state. So FCOM is a paid ability, but it's also an action, it costs a click to use. Which means with this you can actually wait until they advance and use the FCOM. Because FCOM was an action in which they have priority, and then they pass priority to you, in which you can get the Clot out. And since you have priority, you can also use as many of these abilities as you want, so it's absolutely legit to use the Clone Chip to get an SMC, and then use the SMC to get a Clot in the same window. And you have to do it here because Shipment from Sans works similar to Trick of Light, in which it gives 2 counters in a single action, and now it would of course be too late. Okay, let's talk about CVS. How would you use that to score an agenda to dodge the Clot? The trick is to get the agenda into a state in which you can score it without having to spend an action anymore, and then you just use CVS. So it works this way, in that you install it, advance, biotic, advance. This is the point where the runner for sure would get the clot out. And then you actually just keep going, because that was your last action. Now you have priority to rest cards, use paid abilities, and score. And there's nothing that the runner could do here. So let's go back a little. This is another case. You could also play 2 biotic labors if you needed to. Then install in CVS. Then start fast advancing. They get the clot out, yada yada yada. If you would use the CVS here, generally it would be a bad idea because the clot is still here. In Reboot it doesn't matter too much because clot is purged and I don't think anyone plays 2 clots. But keep in mind they could actually, with another clone chip or an SMC, get a second clot from their deck. They could, but of course no one plays 2 clots, so you can just go here. Okay, let's do another case. This is like my favorite stupid example. If you don't have a CVS here, but you have Sansan and 3 biotic labors, yeah, I know that's not realistic. But in theory, this is about understanding how this works. You could get 3 biotic labors, install this, install the agenda here, on Sansan, advance, advance, and now you still have 3 clicks, and purging is also an action. So if the clot was already out, you could purge and immediately score, because you have priority. Okay. So how should the corp behave in respect of a clot install? I think the best thing is to advance always quite slowly so the runner can interact. So what you want to do is something, I think in this pace, you install, advance, wait a little, advance, wait a little, and advance again. The runner can always just spam this button to say that they want to do something. In friendly games the corp could also just like ask for an action. In some cases that can actually mess things up because you're passing priority to the runner by asking for an action. So if you actually advance the 3rd time, whoops, let's say I use the biotic labor here. If you advance for the 3rd time and ask for an action, well, you pass priority to the runner. And if they deny, the timing priority says that the window closed. So in this case you couldn't actually score this anymore, if we were really pedantic about it. But yeah, advance slowly, maybe ask for an action in a friendly game. That was quite a lot for a single card, right? I might have messed something up here, so please reach out to me if something I showed here was incorrect. I'll just re-upload the thing. Let's recap the main points. After every action there's a window for paid abilities, resting cards and scoring agendas, and the corp has priority to do as many of these as they want, before they pass priority to the runner, who can then do the same. This means if the corp doesn't need to spend an action to score an agenda, the runner cannot install clot anymore to deny the fast advance. If a single CVS is pre-installed, the runner cannot deny the fast advance. The corp should just get the agenda to a scoreable state, rest and use the CVS and score right away. And advance cards slowly, only ask for action in casual and friendly games. Alright, that's it. Like and subscribe, bell thing, thanks to my patrons, bye.
Greetings, intruder. When one video ends, just open up another. It's called binge viewing. Go ahead. We support you.